They just see their children and the extension of their children, their grandchildren, as an audience for them. That's often how narcissists think. You are there for me, and why would you have any problem with that? Hello, I'm Dr. Jane. I'm a psychologist. This is Knowing Narcissism, and this is another video that I like to call Am I Being Unreasonable, or Is This Person a Narcissist? So you can get in contact with either the comments down below, or you can send me a DM on Instagram. There's a link in the show notes below. So this person says, I grew up in a very hostile and aggressive home, but came to terms with my imperfect childhood many years ago. My father had violent lack of self-control and held his children at arm's length, but I do care about him and my mother deeply. I married 16 years ago and have 2 beautiful children and a peaceful home, the one that I've always dreamed of since I was a little girl. Last year, the peace with my parents was blown apart. I had a major operation and our very young children were cared for by my parents while I was in hospital. They didn't find it easy, as they don't, in inverted commas, do childcare, but I was very grateful. When I was discharged, I developed a complication that nearly killed me. So my husband pleaded with my parents to come back so he could be at my bedside. Our daughters were so scared, my parents refused, saying that they were tired. Though surprised, my husband accepted this with good grace and found friends to help instead. Very ill, I didn't notice initially that my parents had stopped calling or texting. Getting better, I realised that we had weeks of silence during which they had no idea that I was dead or alive. I was completely stunned that they could choose to, perhaps at this most difficult time, try and cause me hurt. 7 weeks later, I called my mother and asked why, and she was so angry that we had asked for more help and they had done more than enough already and they were tired, and how dare they? It was impossible to express the pain that this so-called explanation caused me. They seem to drag everybody down with their anger and bitterness, and I feel sad that we can't have a normal family life. They are the only relatives we have, but it's so difficult. Should I see them alone or not at all? Well, this is a really difficult situation, and sadly not uncommon when it comes to parents, especially parents who are grandparents. Now, often in these situations, I find that the parents like to be grandparents. Narcissistic parents like to be grandparents in name only, and they were exactly like this, I don't doubt, when this person was young. She would have had to have endured narcissistic rage and cold shouldering from her parents if something went wrong or something in their lives that she probably didn't even know about. So this is something that she's probably quite used to. But when it comes to being grandparents, narcissists like to be grandparents in name only, and if the grandchild achieves something or does something special, they will take all the glory and the credit, and it's all within the family genes. But when it comes to things like, as this lady said, being practical and helping to look after her children when she's, on death's door in a hospital, it seems extraordinary that her parents wouldn't have wanted, 1, to help out, or 2, to have anything to do with her when she was in this really precarious state. And luckily the husband, just got on and did what he needed to do. Now she asks, should I see them alone or not at all? I would advise that you keep your contact to a minimum. These are people that are not going to change. It sounds like that they're in a relationship where they just enable one another constantly. That whatever one says that's grumpy about the grandchildren or the children or somebody down the road or anything at all, the other one will just automatically agree with them. And then, and what tends to happen in those kind of narcissistic relationships is one of the narcissists is slightly more dominant to the other one, but they still very much both are narcissists, so they won't help you at all. It could be that the mother is completely dominated by the father and won't go against anything she says, but I find that a little bit hard to believe, because she could have done something for her daughter in this really, really dangerous state that she was in, but didn't want to. There is just the air of this, that it's always been about them and not about their children, and certainly not about their grandchildren, and certainly not about doing something practical to help to look after the grandchildren. So she asks about, should I see them alone or not at all? I would, if she does and it is for a reason, I would strongly advise that, again, you may get friends to come along and help look after your children. I wouldn't expose your children to your parents because they are toxic and they will kind of try and infect people with that toxicity, because that's what narcissists do. They're miserable and they want everybody to be as miserable as they are. So I certainly wouldn't expose your children to them. Your husband sounds a really nice guy, and I would take him along for support. I don't know if there's any opportunity whatsoever for you to be able to see them individually. I've heard of people being able to kind of split them up, and then when you get to see the parent on their own, they're not quite as bad. It doesn't always work, but sometimes that can work. It depends quite how much this lady wants to have a relationship. She says they are her only family, so I imagine she does, but she has to do it with understanding the realisticness of that relationship. These people are not ever, never ever going to change, and she has to understand that. I talk about when narcissists suck other people's energy and the joy out of a room, and narcissists can do that within seconds. And having lovely young spirited children around, can you imagine what it would be like for them, having to sit literally with their hands on their laps, listening to granddad going on about next door neighbour's cats or whatever it is that his pet peeve is that particular day. It would be just awful for them, and it would be awful for you, because you have made a nice, cheerful, lovely life with your children and your husband, and they will do whatever they can to just take that away from you, because that's what they're used to doing. So sorry, to come back to the original question, should I see them alone or not at all? I wouldn't see them on your own. I would have a trusted person, it sounds like your husband's a good guy in this respect, to be there with you. I would keep it very timed. If you go and see them, you say, I'm coming at 4 o'clock on such and such a day, we will be leaving at 5:30, and you make sure you leave at 5:30. And when the narcissist inevitably says, what, you're going so soon? You're not giving me my feed? You're not listening to everything I have to say? We've got another 3 or 4 hours of this. You have the perfect excuse of, actually, the children are being looked after by so-and-so and we have to go and pick them up. Oh, what do you mean? Why couldn't they come? They should be here. You should bring them along. That's what narcissistic parents / grandparents are often like. They just see their children and the extension of their children, their grandchildren, as an audience for them. That's often how narcissists think. You are there for me, and why would you have any problem with that? Remember, narcissists are completely self-absorbed. They have no empathy for others. They are entitled. They think they're special. They think they're unique. And if they get into a relationship with somebody that actually feeds that and is just kind of narcissistic themselves, which I'm kind of getting the idea. I'm not too sure which is the more dominant out of the grandfather and the grandmother. There's probably not a lot in it, but it just sounds pretty awful for this person. Get on and have a lovely life. Your best. It's not about revenge. It's just about having the best life you possibly can. And you can, because it sounds like you've got a really lovely family there. They are first family and they are back there. This is your family, and these are the important ones. So if it suits you and you want to do it with your husband. I would really, really make sure you do that. Do it boundaried. Make sure that you come at the certain time that you say that you're going to come, and leave at the time that you want to leave. They will try and manipulate that, because narcissists always do, but you stick firm to that, and you have your reason to going because the babysitter's just about to leave, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, but you stick to your boundaries. They will not like it, but you stick to your boundaries. And when they say, are you going to come again or whatever, and sort of like abuse you or because you didn't stay long enough, then don't take it personally, because that's what they want you to do. And remember, you're their daughter. They have trained you their entire life to respond how they want you to respond, and you are better than that. You are not the person that they want you and have trained you to be. You are you, and you have a lovely family, and I hope your health is completely better now. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell, because it just helps the channel enormously and more people get to know what narcissists are like. Until next time, please do take care. There is a link below in the show notes to my Instagram feed, and there's lots of nice little short help on narcissistic parents, narcissistic relationships, you name it, it's there, and it's on the Instagram feed below. Until next time, take care.